guys, welcome back. So what we're looking at today is 4.6, taking sides. Let's go ahead and jump right in. All right, so for this first part, we're solving equations and inequalities from a context. So some of these will just be equations, some of them will be inequalities. So keep that in mind, it's both. So what we're looking at here is the local amusement park sells summer memberships for $50 each. Normal admission to the park costs $25. Admission for members costs $15. If Darren wants to spend no more than $100 on trips to the amusement park this summer, how many visits can he make if he buys a membership with part of that money? So our equation that we need to set up for this, we know that it's going to cost $50 for the summer membership plus $15 for every time he goes, and it's going to be less than or equal to 100 because he doesn't want to spend any more than 100, but he will spend 100. So if we solve this, 100 minus 50 is 50. So now we have 15x is less than or equal to 50. If we take and divide that, divide by 15, divide by 15, x is less than or equal to 3.5. Can he go to the park a half of a time? No. So we have to round this down. So it's actually going to be 3 visits he can make because he can't make more than that because he doesn't have enough money. But he can make 3 visits and spend less than $100. All right, for the next one, how many visits can he make if he pays the normal admission instead? So not paying the $50 and then the $15 each, just paying the $25. So we'd have 25x is less than or equal to 100. We divide both sides by 25. 100 divided by 25 is 4. So x is less than or equal to 4, which means he could make 4 visits. So he can go more times for the same amount of money. For C, if he increases his budget to 160, how many visits can he make as a member? So using the same equation we did before, 50 plus 15x is less than or equal to 160. We subtract 50 away, so we have 15x is less than or equal to 110. Divide by 15. So then x is going to be less than or equal to 7.3 repeating. Can he go a third of a time? No, he can't. So he can go 7 visits total. Now, same thing for D. How many can he make as a non-member with the increased budget? So 25x is less than or equal to 160. We take 160 and divide it by 25, and we end up with x is less than or equal to 6.4. So we could take 6 visits. So when he had the lower budget, the one that worked better was paying the normal cost. He could go more times. But when he increased the budget, he could then end up going more times with the membership rather than the regular admission. So depending on how much money he's willing to spend, he can get more visits in. All right, number 2 is the same idea. You're taking and writing equations based on the situation, solving them, and figuring out the number of questions. All right, so those are all dealing with inequalities. We're looking at inequalities here as well. So solve each inequality. Keyword is inequality. That is your keyword for this lesson, inequality. So what you're looking at here is solving the inequality and giving your justification for each. So number 3, negative 5x is less than 35. In order to solve for x, we divide both sides by a negative 5. So we have x. Now remember, we divided by a negative, so that means we have to flip the sign. So x is now greater than negative 7. Justification, division. All right, number 5, multi-step equation. First thing we have to do is move the 4. So we add 4. So we end up with 2x is less than or equal to 14. Justification is addition. Now we divide by 2. So x is less than or equal to 7. We didn't divide by a negative, so it stays the same inequality symbol. Justification is division. Number 7, we have x divided by -3 is greater than -10/9. So what we're going to do is we're going to multiply by -3 because multiplying, to undo division, we need to multiply. So that cancels this out. So we have x. Now remember, we multiplied by a negative, so it flips the inequality symbol. And now we're going to have -30/9. And this is multiplication. All right, so that's what you guys are doing for this section. You're just solving the inequalities. So using the properties you know to solve regular equations, to solve the inequalities, and remembering when we multiply or divide by a negative, when we're dealing with inequalities, we have to flip the symbol. We flip that symbol, okay? And remember, your keyword is inequality. All right, solve each inequality and graph the solution on the number line. So for these, we first have to solve, then we can graph it. So we have x minus 8 is greater than -20. So we add the 8 over. So we end up with x is greater than -12. So we find -12 over here. Now, is this going to be an open or a closed circle? It's going to be open. And which direction is the arrow going to go? To the left or to the right? To the right, because it's x is greater than -12. So we want to go to the side where it's greater than. All right. The next section is solving multi-step inequalities. So lots of inequalities in this lesson, as you can tell. So for number 13, as you can tell, 13 and 14 have a lot going on in them. So we're going to do those two together. So first thing we want to do is distribute. So we're going to distribute the 5 to both of these. We're going to distribute the 9 to both of those. So we're going to end up with 20x plus 15 is greater than or equal to 9x minus 18 minus x. So combine like terms on this side. 9x minus x is going to give us an 8x minus 18. Now we want to take and bring our x's to the same side. So I'm going to subtract the 8x. Sorry for the random line. So 20 minus 8 is going to give us a 12x minus 15. Oops, not minus 15, plus 15 is greater than or equal to -18. Now we subtract the 15. So we have 12x is greater than or equal to -18 minus 15. Going to give us a -33. Then we divide by 12. Oops. And so we take -33 and divide by 12, and we end up, we can leave our answer like this, or for those of you who like to get the decimal, you will end up with a -2.75. So that will be your answer. So either x is greater than or equal to -33/12, or x is greater than or equal to -2.75. All right, now for number 14. Like I said, lots of stuff going on in this one. So once again, we're going to start with distributing. So we're going to distribute the -1/2, and we're going to distribute the +2. And I'm going to erase this over here so I have more space. Okay, so we're going to have 2/3 x minus 4 times a half is going to give us 2. So minus 2x plus 1/2 is greater than or equal to x plus 2x minus 6. So first thing we need to do is combine like terms on either side. So we have 2/3 x minus 2x. So if we take 2/3 and we subtract 2 from it, we're going to get 4/3 or 1 1/3. So I'm going to write it as 4/3. So, and it'll be a negative 4/3. Negative 4/3 x. So that took care of those two. Plus 1/2 is greater than or equal to. Now, x plus 2x is going to give me a 3x minus 6. All right, so now, next step. We need to take and move our x's to the same side and get our constants to the same side. So I'm going to add the 4/3 to the 3. Sorry for the random lines again. So we have 1/2 is greater than or equal to. Now, 3 plus 1 1/3, so is going to be 4 1/3, which is the same thing as 13 thirds. I know, like I said, crazy stuff in this one. Okay, so then we have our minus 6. Now we need to add the 6 to the half, so we end up with 6 1/2, which, if we write that as an improper fraction, would give us 13 halves is greater than or equal to 13 thirds x. There should be an x there. So now we divide by 13 thirds. Or we can multiply by the reciprocal. Either way, and I'm going to bring it up here so you can see this a little better. We do same times flip. So we've got 13 over 2 times, because we changed the sign, and then it's going to be 3 over 13. Now, because there's a 13 in the diagonal, they can cancel out. So what we're left with is just 3 halves. So our answer here is x is less than or equal to 3 halves. So I know lots of crazy stuff with those fractions in there, but it all works down to x is less than or equal to 3 halves. All right, number 16. So this section we are looking at literal equations again. So being able to solve these, rearrange them. So for 16, given v equals 1/3 pi r squared h, rewrite the formula to isolate the variable r. So I'm going to erase some of this so we have some space. V equals 1/3 pi r squared h. First thing I'm going to do is multiply by the 3. So I'm going to cancel out the 1/3. So that'll cancel. So we have 3v equals pi r squared h. Now, the r squared is being multiplied with both pi and h. So I'm going to divide by pi h. So that cancels each of those out. So we're left with 3v, sorry about these lines, over pi h equals r squared. Now, to get rid of the squared, we take the square root. So we take it to both sides. So our answer, the square root of 3v over pi h equals r. So that's what you guys are looking at there. It's just rearranging the equations to get that variable by itself. You will not get a numerical answer for these. You are going to get equations rewritten in a different form. So a lot of you had just numbers on your review here this last 2 weeks ago. So don't do that. You're not going to get numbers. So make sure you're solving these correctly. All right. The last section is solving systems of equations by graphing. So we're going to look at 23 together. So notice none of these are in our y equals mx plus b form. That's so easy to work with. So what we're going to do is we need to take and subtract the x to get it to the other side. So we'll have y equals negative x plus 9. Now, for the next one, we're going to take and subtract the x as well.